I am Lelia, your resident yapper here. I did not expect to make another video for YapFest actually, and in regards to the VTuber community, but I am not the VTuber news gal, but I did scroll on X on Friday, and there was this doc that came out from Vane in regards to Senz. And let's go into it, but before we do, I just want to say that please do not harass or witch hunt anyone mentioned in this video. Just because you agree with something or disagree with something, like, just, it's not worth it. Please don't do that. Be the better person. Don't go harass them. Harassment's never okay. And we're gonna dive into summarizing Vane's document first, and Senz has a response, and then I'm going to add a third person here. They're not directly involved in this particular situation, but just to give an idea of their experience with Senz. Just wanted to touch on that, and you can read these documents yourself. I will link them in the description. I'll also put it in the comments if that's easier for you guys. To set the stage here, this is the timeline. So, Vane first met and spoke to Senz 2 months ago, around July 21st, for a small collab. And from the messages, it really seems like Senz really seems friendly and genuine. He really seems like welcoming, really excited for the collab, right? And if you were in Vane's shoes, you would be like, oh, this guy's very chill and he seems very nice. And Senz himself said he wanted more guy friends to hang out with. So on the surface, everything seems great. Like, even Vane went to Senz for questions, any advice on content creation, and in return, Vane's manager also was in contact with Senz's manager. And Vane's manager helped Senz's manager provide a resource for like finding an editor, right? So everything seems nice. There was a camaraderie, but here's where that reality shatters, that illusion. So basically, in Senz's Discord, there is a chat just for the mods, and we see some messages, and just a warning, they're very uncomfortable to read. I will read them out, and can you imagine like how you would feel if you got these messages? Like, you were in Vane's situation? Like, everything that Vane feels is completely valid. And I like to remain neutral in any sort of like call out, but the thing is, I couldn't help but feel bad because I understand his feelings, and he definitely has every right to feel the way he does. So we're going to look at these messages. So originally, they weren't talking about Vane only. Senz went to his mod chat just for advice. And the way he put it, he said, I see other male VTubers whose chats are normal when they aren't even being themselves. They're just fake flirting to farm parasocials. While I'm being my honest self and getting annoying ass kids. Maybe I just need to change how I act. Well, dang. Is that how you feel about your audience, to call them annoying ass kids? I feel bad for your audience. So we can see initially, he's not really targeting Vane, but Vane might as well be roped in because he later talks about Vane. We'll get to that. Just this seems like he feels a certain way about those VTubers who, I guess, flirt with their viewers. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like as long as there's a fine line and boundary, I think it's okay. I guess in some instances it gets very toxic, so that's why there's a very negative view on that. And I guess for some people, if you're comfortable with that and your audience knows not to cross the line, they know that it's not like real flirting, right? It's not like you're in love with them or something. I think it's fine, okay? As long as there's like a clear line. Okay, I gotta stop talking about it. We need to move on. I gotta summarize this actually. But anyways, the reason why Vane gets roped into this is because Senz's manager was the one who suggested, hey, why don't you ask Vane for some advice, you know? And this is what Senz had to say about Vane when Vane got mentioned. He said, bro gets milked, his chat takes his clothes off, and he pulls his shirt up and leans in. Love in Deep Space VTuber edition. No judgment though. Good business model for a VTuber. If you don't know what Love in Deep Space is, it's basically a dating sim game. I'm gonna quote what Vane had to say about the no judgment though, because I completely agree. It rubbed me the wrong way when I first read this. I personally don't believe saying no judgment though is sufficient to give you the right to say whatever you like, and is effectively the same as saying no offense bro, and following up with offensive statements. As much as you want to use this as a cover to deflect, it is clear from reading the message what your tone was and how you truly feel about me. I agree, because it's really giving the vibe of like, hey, I feel this way about this person, but I guess it works for them. Like, it doesn't make what you said, like, any less worse. It doesn't clear you or absolve you of what you said, because it clearly shows, like, how you feel about it. And it goes back to the point of, like, how we talked about other male VTubers. I wonder if he just views those types of VTubers who do all this flirting, acting up, and, like, I guess, like, was it, doing this fan service kind of stuff, which if they enjoy it and they're okay with it, that's fine. That's totally okay, right? It feels like he's looking down on these types of creators. They're like, oh, they do all this stuff and then they get this sort of audience. That's all they have to do. But then if I act like myself, like, what the heck? It's like the same thing of comparison, like, of like IRL people, right? They're like, oh, people only like them because he like does all this. He like goes shirtless, he lifts up his shirt, he shows off his body. Like, people do this on IRL people, right? Like, they only like him for his body and stuff. It gives the same energy, in my opinion. Maybe I'm digging a little bit too deep for that. But essentially, this is what Vane found out. And the reason why he found out was because 2 mods have stepped down from being Senz's mods. And they have their reasons. One of them stated, just to summarize, is that they didn't feel comfortable in that sort of environment and they just didn't enjoy modding anymore. So they decided to just quit. Basically, if it weren't for these mods contacting Vane, he wouldn't have known about this. So another thing is, he was informed that the mod chat where this original conversation where Senz was talking about other VTubers and Vane, that chat got deleted. So there's a new chat for the new trial moderators, so there's no record of this anymore except for these screenshots. So now after he discovers these messages, right, I'm going to directly read it because I don't want to paraphrase his feelings, and this is what he has to say. What makes me so uncomfortable about this is the direct contrast between how they talk to me and how they talk behind my back. He's overly reductive about me and my team's hard work and holds the belief that my audience watches me for 5 hours each stream, 5 times a week, simply and solely because of my model having a large chest and nothing about the person I am, my ability to entertain, the effort I put in, or anything else. And even hypothetically, if it was just due to the model, I spent 7 months working closely alongside my PM, artist, and rigger to bring this to life, and we all worked tirelessly to design new features and ideas that push the boundaries of what 2D VTubers can do. And this doesn't account for the risks I took, quitting my job or spending all this money up front, whilst I juggled working 60-hour work weeks, just for everything to all be dismissed as it's cause your model has a shirtless toggle and can lean. It's really hurtful and it's really disrespectful. His language also makes me uncomfortable, treating me like a number and someone who he clearly doesn't respect, but continues to ask for collabs with, since we share a similar space or they feel they can gain something from collabing with me. That's a whole lot to unpack here. Vane has every right to feel this way because he put in all this effort, and it just seems like Senz is brushing it off. They're like, oh, well, it's just because of his model, that's why people like him. It's kind of like with IRL people, oh, they only like him for his looks, not for his talent. And just because it happens to a VTuber doesn't mean it's any less worse. I'm just saying, I guess people forget sometimes between a VTuber avatar, there's still a real person behind the VTuber. Just because we can't see who they are, doesn't mean there isn't a real person. It's not AI, okay, guys? There's still a real person. Just because it's an anime character doesn't mean it's just an anime character. But anyone can be demeaned, and the way Senz talked about him felt very derogatory. And I know this is a tangent. Anyone can be demeaned and talked about in a derogatory way. It doesn't matter your race, gender, sexuality. Anyone can face this, and just because he's a guy doesn't mean it can't happen to him. So anyways, the last part he said that Senz kept asking for collabs. Like, we see all these messages, he keeps asking about collabs, and the way Vane feels about it, it feels like Senz is just trying to gain something out of him. And I wouldn't be surprised if bigger creators, all they care about are numbers. I get it, some people have said that numbers are important to a certain extent, but I wouldn't be surprised if Senz is the type of creator who's like, oh, if I collab with this person, I will get more viewers. Or like, people will enjoy this content more if I collab with this specific person because of a certain reason. They're like an advantage. I can use them to my advantage. I don't know if that's how Senz truly feels because I can't like magically look into him and know if that's true or not. I can't look into his like heart, his like mindset. But if that is the case, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not claiming that is the case. That is how Vane feels, and I can also understand why he would feel that way, because Senz is continuously asking for collabs, but Vane knows about how Senz like talked about him, and it kind of comes off as very two-faced. He's like very sweet and genuine in the chats, or at least it seems like it, but in the mod chat he talks about him in a very demeaning way. Anyways, that's essentially the gist of Vane's document. We're gonna go into the response document and I'm gonna read it. Now, the thing is, this situation occurred during TwitchCon, so I thought Senz wouldn't respond until after, just so he could gather his thoughts and actually, like, write something, but I felt like when I read through this the first time, he rushed it, and it doesn't look good. I feel like it would have looked better if he had waited until TwitchCon is over to really like gather his thoughts and write something out. Or maybe some people might argue that it would become too like, I don't know. Can people argue against like waiting until TwitchCon is over? Like maybe if he waited until TwitchCon is over, people would say he didn't care to respond. He cared more about TwitchCon. But then my argument is I think it looks better if he waited, because then he can actually gather his thoughts. Am I the only one who feels that way? I don't know. Let me know. So he starts out, I want to sincerely apologize, because that's the only way to start out any sort of apology. I'm sorry, the way I spoke in my mod chat was definitely unprofessional and could have definitely be taken as insulting or belittling. Vane has every right to feel how he does, his feelings are completely valid, and within the context provided after seeing what he has seen, I completely understand his mindset. I'm sad that it seems the way it does, because I truly wanted nothing but his friendship. Firstly, I want to apologize for using the word parasocial, especially parasocial farming. I understand that the way I use the term is not correct nor okay, and I shouldn't have used it this way for him. I'd like to explain what the word parasocial means to me and how I use it regularly. Anyone who watches me regularly can confirm, as it's something I talk about very commonly because I have an open and honest conversation with my community. As I've said on stream, parasocialism to me is only unhealthy when either people involved make it unhealthy. I've said that there is absolutely nothing wrong with caring about your community or your creator deeply as long as it doesn't become unhealthy and that correct boundaries are set. To me, it just means flirting with the audience. I understand that my definition of parasocial is heavily influenced by the internet and that this is not the real definition and can be easily taken badly. I think the reason why we tend to associate with just flirting with parasocialism is because the negative stuff about it just kind of comes up to the forefront, that we don't know the actual what it encompasses. We only associate it with this one thing because of all the negative stuff. But anyways, he has said, he adds, I've personally said that I am parasocial with my chat to an extent, because in real life I don't leave my house, my community, and the few friends I have in the VTuber space are really all I have. I truly did not mean to hurt anyone or make anyone uncomfortable. I think he didn't have to add that part, because I feel like the whole I don't leave my house, the community and the few VTuber friends I have are the only people I have in my life. It kind of seems like you're trying to earn pity points here, and it just doesn't look as good, but maybe I'm just being too harsh here. I'm sorry if I'm being too harsh, but that's just the way I viewed it, because look, you're making a response to Vane. Why do you have to add that part? Because it just seems like you're trying to defend your actions with, well, I did this because of this. To provide context as to why I said what I said in the mod chat, I had a stream where many younger people from TikTok came in and just generally harassed me, treated me like an NPC. I was frustrated and came to ask my mods if I was doing anything wrong. Vane was brought up and I said in the mod chat that I like his chat, but his content was much different than mine. I absolutely agree that the wording without context or knowing me personally looks horrendous. I was talking casually, so my tone might be off, but since I was talking to my moderators, I felt comfortable. I've never spoken poorly about Vane, or really anyone else. I don't like negativity, I don't want to spread it or be around it. I had figured at the time, since these are things I talk about on stream regularly, my mods would understand, but I also understand how it seems when provided without set context. It was unprofessional to have that sort of conversation with my mods, even if it is something I discuss openly on stream. It could definitely seem like I was talking behind his back, which I did not mean to do in any way. Okay, so the annoying ass kids he was talking about in his mod chat are, I guess, these quote-unquote younger people from TikTok. I guess it's okay to feel frustrated with certain people in your chat, especially if they come off like a certain way. If they were harassing him and treating him like an NPC, I get it. It's okay to be frustrated. okay, I don't have that much to say, but it just, in that context, it seemed like he was talking about his entire audience. But I guess if, like I said, out of context, it seems that way, we can give him a benefit of a doubt that it may not be his entire audience that he's addressing, that it's just a few people that were, you know, harassing him. So we'll just leave it there. We can be neutral about that. He acknowledges that it does look terrible. Okay, at least you acknowledge it, okay? It does look terrible, because going back, you guys remember what the messages were, right? He said, well, he gets milked and takes his clothes off. Well, the chat takes his clothes off. Yeah, that looks terrible whatsoever. And here's my take on it. If you wanted to say that his content was just different than yours, all you could have said, you didn't have to say all that. All you could have said to your mods when they suggested it, or when your manager suggested it, you could have said, well, I mean, his content and his personality and the way he interacts with his audience is way different than I want to go about it, so I don't know if I should ask him. You could have just said it like that, and that would have looked a lot better and would have been a lot better than saying, well, this guy gets milked and like his chat strips him, essentially. Do you see the difference here? If the way he felt was like, well, his content is different, you could have just said, well, his content is different, and not add all this unnecessary stuff. But I feel like he just added that because that's how he truly feels about Vayne. Because why else would you go to that extent of saying all that? But like I said, I can't really read into people, their true character, because I can't do that. I don't have those magical powers. It would help though. He said, secondly, I have said I am honestly jealous of YouTubers who have the confidence to flirt with their chat, and that I'm not very good at direct flirting. I often say there's nothing wrong with parasocial content, nor is there anything wrong with wanting to consume it. I've defended it and have said that I want to be able to do that myself with complete confidence, like not only Vayne, but other VTubers who do it as well as they do. It's often something I tease my friends about and am used to that kind of banter. That doesn't mean that it was okay to say this about someone that could be uncomfortable with it, and that did not give me permission to say this about them. Well, he says he's jealous of those who have the confidence to do that, but it didn't sound that way. If he was jealous, it kind of sounds like he's jealous that they do all this stuff, all this fan service, and they gain all these fans. Meanwhile, he doesn't do that, and then he has the audience that he has. So, he could be jealous of their confidence. Okay, we'll give him a benefit of a doubt. Okay, we'll go with that. You guys let me know your opinions. Thirdly, I want to clarify, I have and would never say a model is someone's only reason for success. In fact, I've said many times on stream that you can have the best model on the planet but won't see any success unless you know how to use it and have the personality match it, which he does. I've said this about him whenever he's been brought up in chat. I respect Vayne's hard work a lot. Okay, we can give him a bit of a doubt. Let's go on. Fourthly, as for my sincerity and or seeing someone as a number or using anyone, I honestly very rarely ever set up collabs, ask to collab, or ever even want to collab. Before meeting some people I met recently. I've expressed this to many people privately and on stream publicly. I have extreme anxiety around others and am constantly worried about being annoying, hurting others' feelings, and generally not living up to the standards of being a good friend. I am honestly heartbroken that Vayne felt used, as this is what I wanted to avoid the most. I care more about being friends and would have been completely happy just going back to doing my own thing and just hanging out with people offline. I don't like the pressure of hosting collabs, and while I may have hosted a couple recently because I met some nice people and wanted to push my boundaries a bit, I find the anxiety inducing and streamed on my own for years because of this. I generally don't care about numbers. I always say yes to collabs I'm invited to by mutuals and people I trust. I collab with people of all sizes. I usually prefer to stream and grow on my own, which I've done for years. The recent collabs I was invited to is the most I collabed ever in my entire VTubing career. I also want to clarify that all the messages I sent to him privately and in our group DMs are sincere. I was honestly excited to talk and hang out with him. I am genuinely very shy and have trouble reaching out to other streamers, so I was very happy to get to know him. Okay then, as for messaging him during my birthday stream, I didn't know if someone from my chat had gone to his stream and asked him to join us, and I just asked him myself as a friendly gesture with no pressure behind it. When he said he was going to do his own thing, I said no worries. I just wanted to extend an invite. To me, this just seemed like a friendly gesture. I apologize if it came off any other way. Also, after talking with my manager, I've decided to change the way I handle my mod team. The way I manage my mods has been too casual and unprofessional. I wanted it to feel like a friend group more than a mod team originally, and in doing that have caused people to feel uncomfortable. Okay, he's not encouraging. He's acknowledging the point, so I didn't read out word for word the mod message, but I did show it on screen that they didn't like the environment and they were uncomfortable with it. He's always acknowledging that. We'll see if actual changes are placed. You guys will be in charge of that, those who follow Senz, if he really does do that, as he says. I'm sorry for making mods and others uncomfortable by the way I have been handling moderation and communication. I tend to hyper-focus on things and type as fast as possible when I have things in mind, which can cause a lot of misunderstandings and stress, even discomfort. From now on, I would like to be more professional and treat the group less as a friend group. Should have done that in the beginning, because they're your mods. As for the mod chat being deleted, we delete the mod chat every time we get new mods because the mods talk about personal things in there sometimes, and don't want that info to be given to newcomers before they get to know them. They have asked me to do this themselves. We didn't delete the mod chat after Vane was brought up either. It was during the mod trial process, as it has been for years. I rarely use the chat myself, as it's meant more for the mods themselves than me. Lastly, I want to apologize if this seems rushed or a bit chaotic, or if I forgot to provide anything or respond to any parts of the document. I'm currently at a convention without my computer and extremely distraught and saddened about the situation. I truly believe this to be a misunderstanding. I'm sad we couldn't just talk it out privately, but I understand I can be intimidating and that he feels betrayed and hurt. That being said, I understand why he or anyone else would want to distance themselves from me, but I hope that this helps anyone who reads it understand my mindset a bit more. My wording was stupid, but I had zero malicious intent. The VTubing space can be extremely two-faced, and I have had my own experience with that issue. I understand why Vane feels betrayed and hurt by what I said. I also understand why he would be scared to talk to me privately about this. Please do not harass Vane or his manager or try to force him to talk to me. Please also do not mention this situation in this chat, and once again, I'm sorry to Vane, to the moderators who were involved and saw the situation, and encourage anyone who has an issue with me to reach out, as I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable and want to better myself whenever I can. Okay, so that was a lot. The main point I want to really target is that he said that he tends to hyper-focus and types really fast, and he can cause misunderstandings because of that. Here's my thing. Senz, if you truly want to better yourself, please take a step back, read over what you type before you send it. I get it. I type really fast too, and I tend to make typos, but that's a little bit different. But if you truly acknowledge that you have a problem with typing really fast and then just sending your messages, and you understand that it can cause misunderstandings, just work on that, okay? I'm not here to like berate him on that. That's just something he acknowledges. I hope you work on it, okay? Now, he also said he apologized if this is rushed or chaotic. This is why I said I think it would have been better if he had just waited until TwitchCon is over so he can gather his thoughts and just type out something and make it not seem like he's just rushing to respond and address it. Because what it comes off as is, oh no, I've been called out. I need to make a response quickly before it looks bad. I gotta do it because I got called out. So that's just the way it seems, okay? And I get it. I want to give him a benefit of doubt. It could be a misunderstanding. It could be. But it still seems so completely bad just from Vane's side. Just with the screenshots, the way he talked about him just seems so demeaning. And that's why I have mixed feelings about this response in general. The mod team, he says he's gonna do better, try to moderate, try to be in charge of them better and treat them less like friends. Yeah, I guess he treated them way too casually. He got too comfortable with them, and the environment just wasn't that great. And he claims that he deletes the mod chats because of personal stuff the mods talk about. Here's the thing, couldn't you just delete the messages that the mods don't feel comfortable sharing? Or do they share a lot of information that it becomes so much to delete? In that case, I guess that makes sense if you want to delete it instead of deleting every single message that they feel uncomfortable with, because, I don't know, you're lazy and it might be too much. But here's the thing, why are they talking about personal stuff in the mod chat? Well, then again, he did say it's a chat just for the mods themselves. I guess that could be a valid reason, I guess. He claims that he does this every time there's trial mods. I don't know how true that is because I wouldn't know. The only people who would know are the moderators themselves, okay? Just to close out on just some certain points, right? He also said he genuinely wanted to be friends with Vane, and he's like sad that that can't be the case. If this truly is a misunderstanding, my take is this can be a learning lesson for Senz on what not to do if he genuinely wants to befriend another VTuber that he enjoys collabing with, he admires their hard work, right? He claims he respects Vane's work on his model and everything he does for his content. If that is the case, this is a whole freaking learning moment. He can grow from it. If that is the case, if that's how he truly feels, he really wanted to be friends. Didn't seem like it. I mean, it seemed like he had been playing Vane in a way. He was being two-faced. But he's claiming that he wasn't trying to be two-faced and stuff, that this whole situation is a misunderstanding. I just have mixed feelings, okay? Like, I still feel for Vane because his feelings are very valid, and I'm not saying that Vane is a liar. I don't think anyone thinks Vane is a liar, because when that document came out, a lot of people came in with support, and that's what I appreciate, that everyone was supporting Vane. It was so heartwarming to see. And I don't know any of these VTubers personally, by the way. They don't know who I am. I hope they don't see this, because that'd be kind of awkward. I just wanted to talk about it because I had some opinions about it, and I didn't see anyone really mention it. So now the third thing I want to add is someone actually replied to Vane's original tweet, and their name is Zombabee, and they said Senz and his friends dogpiled on me during TwitchCon 2 years ago when I spoke out about my experience. During those days, people were so freaking horrible to me, and I remember calling people and crying. He called himself a small streamer. He had 40k on Twitch, I had 1k. So this happened 2 years ago. I tried to look into it to see where they would have called him out, but I can't find it. So I can't really say like I have provided evidence, but this is what their thread says. He called me a liar, filled my mentions with condescension and vitriol as I tried my best to be polite and hold my experience as my own. I only was mentioned by someone else, and he called me a liar because if he, a small streamer, wasn't experiencing that, it wasn't real. I experienced psychosis, so it's very triggering to be told I'm lying. I have OCD specifically about lying and have been dealing with guilt and differentiating between honesty and kindness, etc. in therapy for years. And he asserted I was lying. I needed proof. I was lying unless I called them out, and he pressured me and said if I didn't say who I was being hurt by and called them out and punished them by public outrage, I was lying. LMAO. Not everything needs to be a call-out post, okay? And also, I feel like in certain situations, if you do a call-out post, it also adds more fire to yourself for even coming out. People like attack people for coming out with documents, because I guess in some cases people do fake stuff, but then there are actual people who come out with actual experiences and then people attack them for it. So I get it if someone doesn't feel comfortable like publicly airing stuff out. Some people don't feel comfortable with that either, and sometimes it can be dealt with privately, and you know, not everything has to be public. He then deleted all his posts, LMAO, because people said he looked bad and VTubers shouldn't get into drama, it looks bad. I was shaking and scared from having so many angry eyes on me, and my mentions was flooded, and it was so easy for him to delete. I took it to DMs. I was so nice but firm and angry. He was an asshole, condescending and awful, and I just wanted it to be over, so I was nice. But for what, LMAO? What was the point? He's an awful person to me. Everyone sucks up to him to get clout, or I don't know. And everyone has heard stories, horror stories, and they don't give a shit if you let your friend cry on your shoulder and then go and befriend their abuser if you are a shit person. Wait, I read that wrong, sorry. And they don't give a shit. If you let a friend cry on your shoulder and then go and befriend their abuser, you are a shit person. LMAO, collabs are really worth your friends crying. Y'all are all fake as hell. Maybe I'm not cut out for this because I don't give a shit about making friends with people with giant numbers. My friends are my friends. I collab with friends and other VTubers. That's it. It's not hard, and this constant widening of circles and hurting your friends is weird. Obviously, I don't care if my friends are friends with someone I don't like, but I would never be friends with someone who just objectively sucks so bad, LMAO. I'm much more confident now and less nice. I miss the girl I was, but I don't care as much cause LMAO. It's almost like the person who acts like a mean two-faced person is a mean two-faced person, and nothing will happen to him because no one cares about anyone that doesn't have a solid following. Even if 100 people come out about him, people will still choose to align and platform him because the bottom of the line is they can still use him to climb LMAO. Anyways, this is just my story and it sucks and really freaked me out, and many people know how much it affected me. Please don't harass my friends or message them like a bunch of freaks. Okay, so this is actually my first time reading the entire thread. All I read was the first part, and I noticed there was a thread, and I wanted to address it with you guys. Ooh, this changes things a little bit. You know how I said I had mixed feelings about Senz? So I don't know what actually happened to Zombabee, like, privately, and, like, what sort of harassment they got, right? Even they're saying that Senz is very two-faced and that many people have horror stories. It makes me want to go into a deep dive. Can I find them? If anyone has any horror stories about Senz, let me know and I'll look into it. But that's generally the vibe I did initially get with Vane. And then I just wanted to give him a benefit of a doubt in the response because, okay, sure, it could be this way. Some things you may not have needed to add, but this also adds like another layer to like, hey, he was terrible like years ago too. It's just a part of his personality. It's a part of his ego. Here's the thing. If he truly wants to change, he can. He just needs to, like, you know, better himself. If he claims that he wants to better himself as a person, we need to see proof of that. We need to see actual proof of that happening. And I guess we'll see. Only time will tell if he actually betters himself as a person. For Zombabee, I'm sorry for adding your bit into this, but I just wanted to add that, like, hey, okay, he has a history of this, like, sort of stuff, his behavior, and I'm sorry for what you went through as well, and I can't imagine how horrible it was. Like she said, don't harass their friends either. Hi everyone, it's Editing Lelia here, and I was originally going to end it there because I covered everything I wanted to, and I found out that Vane actually did a mini stream addressing the situation. It's about 20 minutes give or take without the starting screen. If you're interested in watching the whole thing, I will link down below. And I'm only going to submit a few clips from it, but I also wanted to address something. I thought about the situation a lot more. I let the information simmer, and while I was editing, I thought about it some more, and I can't help but think with all the, I don't know, statements, even Zombabees, maybe my original hunch about Senz being two-faced could be correct. I'm not claiming he is, I just have this vibe, but I could be wrong as well, okay? The reason why is I wonder if he only came out with the document because he got caught. Because so many eyes were on that initial document from Vane, it makes me wonder, did he only come out with that to save his reputation, his image, and to make himself look less worse than what was initially seen in that document and his defense and such? Sure, he said that he's jealous of those VTubers who do those fan servicey kind of content with their viewers. That could be true, that could be how he feels, but the other thing is the way he talks about them, it just kind of seems like he really truly feels a certain type of way of those VTubers. And the way he talked about Vane, it doesn't seem like a joke, or that he claims that the people he talks to, they understand what he means. It just, I don't know, I don't think you can just brush it off as like, oh, I didn't really mean that. I think you're just saying that to make yourself look less worse. And if there's a day that it comes out that I was wrong about Senz's character and such, and you guys give me all the evidence and throw it in my face, I will take accountability. I will say I was wrong about Senz. I'm so sorry. I have the worst judgment of character, okay? That's all I wanted to add, and just close out on my opinions, and I will let Vane do the talking in the end, so I'll see you guys next time.
Since posting my statement, there have also been cases shared, such as an ex-moderator from his community. This moderator had gone to meet Senz in real life at an event. The moderator was shaking due to their anxiety of meeting them, and Senz chose to make fun of him in front of all his viewers. The ex-moderator had attempted to speak to Senz in private about feeling uncomfortable, and especially about being made the butt of the joke and it being about their anxiety. Senz did not apologize. He blamed the moderator for having joked about him in the past and deflected that way. Senz was very harsh against this person, and this person was someone who tried to be very open with him about their issues and concerns, and especially regarding their anxiety, and they had tried to solve it privately. The conversation ended with the moderator apologizing to him and then later leaving his community. Someone who alleges in their own response that, quote, "I want truly nothing but his friendship," end quote. I don't think I can trust his words and intentions. I don't think most people, if they were in his situation, who are trying to make new friends with other creators, I don't think most people would be talking about other creators like that. He also mentions in his statement that, and I quote, "I was frustrated and came to ask my mods if I was doing anything wrong. Vane was brought up, and I said in that mod chat that I like his chat, but his content was much different than mine." End quote. Two past moderators who were in that mod chat at the moment the conversation took place came forward and told me that the tone was much different, that he also did not in fact say, "I like his chat." I don't know why or understand why he would choose to lie about these sort of things in his statement. And he also claims in his statement that those who watch him would understand how he uses the word parasocial in his unique definition or meaning. But after this incident, these two moderators then left the moderation team because of how he spoke privately and because how uncomfortable the overall atmosphere was.